Hello and welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Lou, and we're really glad that you're here with us today.
You can listen to Wild, Wise and Curious wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you'd like to watch the conversation too, you can find us as a video podcast over on YouTube.
Let's get into today's conversation. So, hi Nix, welcome to Wild, Wise and Curious. It's really good to have you here.
Thank you, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
We're very excited.
We were, weren't we? We said, we've got Nix coming on. We're really, really excited to get into the conversation again after the conversation we had, I think, before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I felt so energised after that conversation as well. So yeah, really excited for the conversation today and what we're going to delve into, really.
Oh, I know. That's always the exciting bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
You never actually know. So, if you could just tell us how you sort of like come to realise that you were kind of on this perimenopausal midlife kind of journey, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so I think something's really been shifting for me in the last 18 months. I think really just in terms of my sort of attitude and how I'm making choices in life. I've had some various experiences going on with my own health and also very sadly lost a friend last year and that was really hard and a real reminder of how precious life is and that we have to make the most of what we do and who we are and just be really authentic in who we are. So for me, I think there's still a piece around acceptance of particularly my health and how I um, use my body as a precious resource, really, and recognize it as a precious resource. I think sometimes we take a lot for granted.
Yeah.
So for me, there's something about starting to really get in tune with it, to understand how it reacts or responds to different experiences as well. And it just got me really curious. So I'm still in that real curious stage at the moment, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. I think it's a good way to view it, isn't it? To be curious about something because then you're not kind of putting any kind of preconceived ideas on yourself. You're not expecting anything. You're not worried about anything, but you're just curious to see what's going to arise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also with my background around self-worth, I think there's so much out there about still comparing ourselves to each other. I think even in this peri or menopause journey, as much as anything else in
Yeah.
life as well. And I think I'm really just trying to embrace who I am, where I am, and going with that as well. So
I think when we're younger, we just take it all so for granted, don't we? That
yeah,
our body's going to carry on working. We can do what we want. We can push it to the limits, and I think I really resonate with what you're saying, Nix. Is that I'm starting to really listen to what my body's telling me, and if something's not feeling quite right, I'm listening to that, working out what it is. Is that something that I need to eat, or is it something that I've not drank enough water? And all these kind of little messages that I feel like I'm getting now, really tuning into. And I wish I'd have done it when I was younger.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I I think I still think I wrestle with rest,
Yes.
if
Yeah.
that makes sense. I think I'm just like I've always. I know everyone says to me, "Oh, you're such a busy person," but a lot of the things I do, I love doing, so I don't see it as doing. And then, but I don't necessarily give myself enough downtime or stillness, like the picture behind of me. And there's something about I don't need to earn rest. I think there's a real shift for me there with that, and that it doesn't have to be earned, but it does need to be valued, and it's as valuable as anything else that we do as well. So that's sort of the realization I've had, particularly in the last year.
I really want to go back to that because I loved what you just said then, and I was trying to retain it. It's not something that needs to be earned, but it's something that needs to be valued. And
Absolutely.
that really kind of, when you said that, that really kind of hit me, and I wanted to just
Take a minute.
take a
To
minute
let that settle in.
because I feel that
Yes. Yeah.
as a woman, as a mum, as a wife, as as a homeowner, all
House
of these,
cleaner.
yeah, all of these things, and that felt really quite pertinent to kind of
Because
Yeah,
we don't put value on rest and taking the time, and actually we really need to take that time, don't we? I'm totally guilty of not taking the time and thinking I can still push it And as you guys, were saying, I can't push it the way I used to push it at 20. Now I'm 50, but I still want to do all the things.
Isn't that interesting? And forgive me, as a coach, I can't help but pick up on language. When you use the word guilty, why do we need to feel guilty for actually taking time for us? Life is precious. Self-care should be a lifestyle, not a luxury, is I think what I'm coming to terms with. And that we always think everything else comes first in front of us, which is fine in a way, but there's something about if we do something for us, it's not selfish, it's about putting ourselves first, and we should
Yeah,
never have to feel guilty. But I think society puts that on us as well, and then we build it on ourselves as well, don't we? And
yeah.
then we
Well,
get
it's
stuck in that rut of it.
self-preservation, isn't it? It's
Mm.
self-preservation. You need to take the time. You need to do the nice things or the things that fill your cup up to kind of preserve you and preserve your energy and enable you to do all the other things that you might not really want to do, but you have to do because it's just part of life.
I think that's so true, and I think so. I work for the NHS during the day, which I love,
Yeah.
but I think what I've also recognised is I give a lot of energy to that because I love what I do, and I don't necessarily balance out giving enough energy then to my home life and my hobbies because I've used the best of it in
Yes.
the workspace.
Yeah.
And there's this sort of mantra that I've come up with, which I started last year with, which is that work needs to wrap around my life, not the other way round.
Yes.
I am a whole person. I'm not defined by just that,
Yes.
Monday to Thursday work. And that was quite a powerful shift for me, I think, because I recognise actually it is okay to want to have some energy to do that thing I've planned for Saturday or for
Yeah.
that Tuesday evening.
Of course it is.
And I don't think I'd ever really done that before. I think I just got so into that routine of, oh, I've got to go to bed early because I need to be my best for tomorrow. But actually, what about being my best for my friends, for my family, for the things that I want to do outside of work too?
Yeah, yeah. We were just talking about this, weren't we? Just before we spoke to you, Nix, and the fact that there was a point at which I was literally just going back a long time now, but just working, sorting out the children, going to bed, working, sorting out the children, and that was literally my life.
Yes.
And then Michelle and it must have been, oh God, what?
It's about 18 years ago, I'd say.
18 years
Yeah,
ago.
I think
Was
my
that when
eldest was about 5 or 6.
Was that when you started your degree?
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah. So Michelle had
Yeah.
just started a degree, and we were having a chat, and it was like a light bulb moment, and it was like, what? You can do something else other than look after the
Yeah.
children, go to work and sleep. There is something else that I could be doing, and it was that. I mean, it took me a while to then start doing my degree, but that was the catalyst for it. It was that moment I thought, oh, there is more to life than this. I can do other things. And yeah, that was quite a pivotal moment for me. Thanks, mate.
Do you know what? I
Oh,
think I did my degree around, when did I do my degree? I think I did my degree about 2005, 2006. But again, it was through choice of wanting to do that, not
yeah,
because I needed to do it for something. And I
yeah,
think you can give it more energy and commitment in a time frame when it works for you.
Yeah, yeah.
When you finally realise that it's okay, it's almost like you have to give yourself permission, isn't it, to do
exactly.
these
And
things?
also
Yeah.
choosing what you're going for. I think if I'd have gone to uni fresh out of college, well, to be honest, I would have pissed it up the wall because I was, loved partying and drinking and all of those
Yeah.
things at that age. But going as a mature student, I think I was about 35, I went to do the subjects that really interested me and I wanted to make it count
Mm,
because I'd kind of worked things out a little bit more for myself. Don't get me wrong, there are some incredible young people going straight to uni, but a lot of that is probably fired up by what parents want them to do, or they're not really sure what they want to do, so they'll go to uni. Or but I think by the time I got to 35, I kind of just knew I needed to do something else because I'd been like Lou, I was at home like rushing around after the kids, keeping the house clean, making sure everyone was fed, changing bums, blah blah blah. And yeah, you kind of it's nice to sort of like do something that you want to do as well as everything.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's where my latest sort of drumming journey started, sort of
Yes.
16 months ago or so, is that sudden want to shift and have choice again and to do something that was actually for me, not for anybody else. that's in my life, or not because I don't care or love them, but I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
something for me, you know. And so yeah, it feels like I'm almost going around another cycle of that. It's time to do something for me again, which is quite exciting.
It's really exciting. It's really exciting. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you came into the drumming and kind of just, yeah, just tell us the journey of the drum.
Yeah, so I've been a self-worth coach now for about 12 years, and each year I run a day retreat for women, for about 20 women. And the idea is it has several workshops on the day, but there's always like a treat session after lunch.
Yeah.
And back in 2020, literally 2 weeks before we went into lockdown and we understood what was going to happen in the
Yeah.
world, I'd invited this man called Richard from Southampton to come and run a drum circle for the ladies and myself. And I had absolutely adored it. The freedom of just sitting with a drum and creating a rhythm, but feeling part of a collective in that space, and the energy that it gave me was just something I'd never really experienced before. And after then, I was literally looking around, researching to see if I could find a local drum circle so that I could join one, because I love the idea of being part of a small community, and to get I love music. Music is really important to me. So being able to combine the two, I thought would be fantastic. Couldn't find a thing. And so several years went by, and then in October 24, I invited Richard back again to run another drum circle for my sort of 10-year birthday retreat. Um, and still had not managed to find anything. And I was speaking to him on the day and saying, I still can't find anything. Do you know of anyone? And he said, no, I am your most local. And, working, quite long hours, there was no way I was going to be able to drive from where I live to Southampton to be able to make the circles that he ran of an evening. And so I don't know whether I'd maybe had too much sugar that day, but in that moment I was like, so what does it take to become a facilitator? And he says, well, you've got to be able to be musically minded. I was like, definitely big tick on that one. And you need to be able to teach. Now, my whole background is education. I've although I work in the NHS, I lead education. I lead on various education aspects. I have an education degree. I have my teaching certificate. So that was very natural to me as well. So one thing led to another, and Richard I invited him to become my mentor, which he very kindly accepted. And I had one-to-one lessons with him, did an online facilitation program, and sort of moved into that space of becoming a facilitator. But what I found yesterday was this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. This is
Oh, yeah,
drum
yeah.
set.
Drum circle. Yeah.
So at that retreat in 24, I'd asked all the ladies to write on a heart something that they really wanted to work on over the next year to come true, and then place it on like a lit up tree. And they left one on the tree for me to hold on to then post them, and they took one home. And I found this yesterday, and this is what I had put on the tree for myself, and here we are. So
Wow.
in October 24, I bought my first drum. And in January last year, I started running women's drum circles, and then have been invited to many different groups to drum inside and out. And I counted last night, I've now got 39 drums, and
Wow.
I've drummed with over 800 people.
Wow.
Um,
Connect.
so, yeah,
Just
yeah,
from following your joy and the fact that
yes.
something had really like resonated with you, so you wanted to kind of follow that and see where it took you, and it's brought you here.
Yeah,
That's
completely. It was a
incredible.
case of, if you can't find a tribe, build one. And I was like, there's that huge sort of daunting aspect of, well, what if no one wants to do this with you, Nix? And I was like, do you know what? Even if just two people come into the hall, I want to drum. So if that means there's two people with me drumming, I'm going to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, so that's where I am, and it's really exciting. But there's something. It's almost like something's been. I know this sounds probably a bit weird, but almost been born in me again. I feel like I've got this real sense of freedom and aliveness as me, just me, not trying to be a coach or trying to be a teacher or anything else. I'm just Nix that wants to drum with a drum. And if others want to come and sit with me and do that, then there's something really beautiful about that.
Yeah, and
So
it feels like there's something really real in that as well. And I think we all um, resonate with that, and really, yeah, want to have a part of that, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know, I think there's something, you feel it in your gut, don't you? You know, and that kind of feeling of like, of where you can lose hours doing that one
Oh
thing
yeah.
because I guess the way we express it is flow,
Flow,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just kind of there and you're feeling it, and you don't actually ever really want that to stop, that feeling, because it feels so right. Um,
Oh, how
it
exciting.
is, it's so exciting. So with the perimenopausal journey, how
Yeah.
has drumming sort of like fed into that for you?
I think I think one of the things, so I've never, and I'll be honest, I still
Yeah.
haven't actually spoken to like a menopause nurse. I think I'm still in that space of almost acceptance of what's probably going on for me right now. Um, I'm quite happy to. So I'm asthmatic. I had a really tough year last year. I had two very long, very serious episodes of asthma and asthma related challenges that really, really wiped out all of my energy. And I think combined with that, and probably, tangoing along with probably the perimenopause as well,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it felt really hard some days to even just get up and do things. And I think with the drumming, you can drum for as short or as long a period as you want to, but it like you just said, it really gives you that sense of aliveness and flow, and you lose yourself because when you're drumming, you're so in with the rhythm. You can't think about, oh, what forgot to nip to the shops for tonight, or what we're going to do for dinner tomorrow. You're just purely in the flow of the drumming. And that's what a lot of people say that come to the circles is you can't think of anything else, and they literally skip out with this like extra skip in their step at the end. And I think that's for me, drumming has or given me a bit of escapism, I suppose, to just reconnect with myself and my body and find out what energy I can release in a different way and be with it rather than fight. So rather than be almost frustrated when I'm tired, and sometimes I feel like, like when a 3-year old is overtired or something and they're just
Yeah.
like trying to fight it. Sometimes I feel like that,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
I feel with the drumming, it gives me a real sense to relax, and I always feel so much more energized. And I hadn't realized just how many health benefits there were until I started doing quite a lot of research as part of the facilitator training. So
Ooh.
for
Yes.
me,
Oh, tell us,
it's
tell us.
given me something back. So and I should probably I did bring a baby Jane to show you because
Oh,
this is the
lovely.
smallest of the
That is
collection.
so cute.
So these are what are called djembe drums. They're goblet shaped, and the idea is that in Africa they would come together as a community to, particularly women, to drum together in a circle to have that community feel, that joy, that sense of women coming together. But so when I was researching about it, there's lots of research around reducing blood pressure
Okay.
and anxiety as well, because again, you come into a state of flow, you
Yeah.
come into a state where you're not comparing yourself to others, you can almost just lose yourself in the moment. So it can bring blood pressure and respiratory rate down, which respiratory rate is good for me, and also musculoskeletal as well around manual dexterity, because if you can, you can use both hands. Or I've had people that can only use one hand. I've even had those that are partially sighted and blind. But what I do is go and guide their hands on how to place it on the drum, so that and they've come back several times. They're really enjoying the fact that they can still feel part of that circle, and that's really important to me for that inclusivity. Um, and then there's also pieces around that sort of social connection as well for people, that you can come into a space and not know anyone, but by the end, there's this shared sense of laughter and joy in the space. Because I always say there's no rules in a drum circle. It doesn't matter if you add an extra beat in or you decide to do a little solo in the middle. It's about enjoying yourself, and that the music is created with those that are in the space. So for me, that's been a huge part of that, is around building community and building that sense of being able to come in as your full sense, not having to put on a facade, or worrying about something. You can just come and be who you are. And those that can only drum with one hand for whatever reason, because of an injury, or can do that without feeling like they're being watched or looked at for being different. Because they say that because it's a drum circle, there's no hierarchy. There's
Yeah.
no one person who's better or leading. You're all in a space, and a lot of the time, you respond in the moment with non-verbal communication, whether you go louder, softer, faster, slower as well. And isn't that like what we go through with the perimenopause? We're finding that shift in space and energy and where we go with it. So I suppose that's my sort of connection to it at the
Yeah,
moment.
absolutely.
And I wonder as well if there's something on a cellular level, you know, the vibrational,
Yeah.
because whenever I think of drumming, I really do feel it like deep in my belly,
Yeah.
really, like that sense of,
Mm,
yeah, feeling it in my cells. And I wonder whether there's something
fizzy.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, fizzy. Some people say they feel fizzy, and particularly their fingers feel fizzy when they finished. And it was really lovely. I was invited to a WI group a couple of weeks ago, 37 ladies. The rhythm sounded incredible. But there was a lady there who, for one reason or another, wasn't able to hold a drum. So she held a tambourine. And at the end, she said to me, I've just had the best hour. She says, I could feel every single vibration through that tambourine. And she just felt so part of the circle and enjoyed it so much. And I was like, yeah, we don't, it's that. How often do we just stop, pause, and really connect or notice what's going on with our bodies in a day? We don't. But what if we did more of that? What if we understood a bit more of what was going on, like you said, in that at that cellular level? Be
Yeah.
quite amazing.
There's a sense of presence that you get,
Mm.
isn't there? And it's like, you know, we talk about mindfulness and that kind of thing. When you're actually present in the moment, it's so good for your body. Full stop.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And you kind of like with the drumming, whenever you walk away from it, I don't know, like you're saying about the like your body, your whole body almost tingles. It's a bit like is it the somatic
Yeah,
stuff? It's
yeah,
almost like something's shifted, hasn't
yeah,
it? You
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Um,
But you get it with choirs as well, because we had Livia on, didn't we?
yes,
She has it with the choir, and I think it's wherever we can get people together in a community, like you
Yes.
said, in a circle. I mean, we love circles.
Yes, we do, we
It's
do.
non-hierarchical. Everybody's equal, and it's
Yeah.
just lovely. And it's just finding that thing, isn't it? That's going to
Women coming
help you to
together.
be together,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And creating that, whatever it is that is sort of like keeps you in a flow, gives you that flow state. I mean, I get it sometimes when I'm writing, so I can just be on my own and I'm writing, and then I'm like, oh my God, where have those 6 hours gone? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
normally that length of time because someone's normally interrupted.
Yeah.
But it's having that flow time and allowing yourself that flow time and trying things that maybe you wouldn't have tried before. So like what you were saying, Nix, about how you initially bolted on the sort of treat bit at the end of the day retreat and had the drumming session. And then I wonder how many women that has then like inspired to kind of like say, oh, you know what? I quite fancy doing this because I liked the feeling I got when I left. I loved the feeling during it, but it also I took something away with me.
Yeah, there's definitely been some that have come across, and there's those that come every month now, and we always have a bit of a joke because obviously the drum collection does keep growing, and I keep negotiating with my husband. I think there's room probably just for a couple more in the car because it is literally like Tetris trying to fit them in the car. But it's really funny how some women come and they become quite territorial over which
Over there
drum they
one
want in
drum.
the circle, which is
I can
it's so
imagine it.
funny. Because they're all different sizes of
Yeah,
djembe, so
yeah,
therefore they give different earthier sounds, or heavier vibration or lighter. So again, I think there's something there about what are you drawn to, what does your body need right now in terms
yeah.
of the space, like when we're going through this journey, isn't it? What is it I need for my body, and what would it be like if we paid more attention to that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
So do you think you'll take the drumming into work?
I have,
Yeah.
yes, I have, yeah.
How did it go
So
then?
I took it in last year. I took them in last year to do like run some wellbeing sessions for people, which they loved. And then I also in October we run a big day around leadership development, and I ran some sessions around how to find your rhythm as a leader, but using the drums to describe it. And interestingly, they're actually going back in for the whole day next Tuesday. So I'm a accredited team coach, and I do a lot of sort of teamwork in the NHS. So I'm working with several teams on Tuesday to help them think about how they come together more as a community, as a team. And then I'm also running some like wellbeing jam sessions at lunchtime, so people can just come and have a free jam on a drum as well. And again, I definitely think since the pandemic, there's a real shift in how we honour wellbeing at work, particularly in the NHS. And so I'm fascinated how the drums play their part in that and how we can do things differently. I'd love to do some like academic research around maybe the difference it could make, but perhaps one step at a time. Maybe it's time to write a new heart. But for now, I'm just enjoying the fact that it's I'm not being selfish, but this is for me as well. This is for me having a community to and people to connect with, and just a space to get together on a Saturday morning and have a laugh over a couple of chocolate biscuits and a bit of drumming for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I mean we've done similar things, haven't we? Where we've ran just different little events and things because we've wanted to do it, and because we couldn't find it in our area, so we've just gone, oh, shall we just do this because we fancy a day or we fancy doing something, and what we're finding is that there's more and more people that really just want this community. They want that connection. They want to feel that, I don't know, I guess, whether it's sitting in circle and talking or whether it's sitting in circle and, feeling the beat of the drum. And I don't know, there's just something really magical about circle, something really community. I don't know, it feels like it pulls, pulls everyone together. But it also feels really kind of, is it primal and like earthy, and I don't know, it almost feels like you've got your feet stuck in the mud, not stuck in the mud, like in a good way, like you've got no shoes and socks.
Grounding.
Grounding. And thanks, girls, I'm struggling. I mean, I'm standing there stuck in the mud, but I meant the total opposite to
I got you.
Where you want to be, where you want to be connected and and grounded. And I really love that part of being a human being, and really would like to do it more.
The word power was really coming. There's something really powerful about it as well, isn't there? And I wonder, if I'd done this 20 years ago when I was younger, would it have had the same appeal to me? But also, would other people in society would have wanted that? I think there's a real shift in, like you said, is there a real shift in women, particularly of our age, going, no, I'm going to do something for me, and that's okay, and I don't need to justify myself about that, and going out there and actually doing it. So, and I wonder if maybe society is shifting to accept that more, that it's okay for women to have their own choice and to go and do these things. They doesn't need to be this sudden gasp of intake of breath of like, oh, she's left her children at home with someone else, she's going and doing something for her. Or like I unfortunately I don't have children, but that doesn't mean I still don't have the right to go out and do these things. I shouldn't be at home doing this, that, or the other. So I wonder if there's something there as well about, I don't know, it almost feels like, what is that time in life, particularly for women, when those of us that have struggled with self-worth, when does that suddenly shift? Is that connected to perimenopause? Is that connected to that journey? Is it more acceptance of our bodies? I think it's a really fascinating thing to get curious about.
It is fascinating. I mean, we have conversations, don't we? Because we've like recently gone on to YouTube, so we're kind of like seeing ourselves. So obviously when we're recording, you can see yourself like, and you kind of look, and you are looking at like, oh, what does my hair look like, or what does this look like, what does that look? And for me personally, I'm trying to not look and not be interested in how I look, because at the end of the day, it's not about what we look like, it's about how we're connecting as human beings and having these amazing conversations. But I think years and years and years of society kind of saying what you should look like and how you should be and how you should act and everything else, even at 50 and being sort of 4 or 5 years into this kind of perimenopausal journey, part of me, I think I'm more like 60% doesn't give a shit, but there's 40% that's still like, oh, Michelle, your hair looks a mess. Oh, your cheeks look a bit puffy. You could have done with some makeup on. Do you know, those sorts of things? So
yeah,
aware.
Absolutely.
It's years of conditioning.
It is years of
conditioning, and it's just like so in answer to your question, Nix, I think a lot of it is a shedding.
Yes.
And I feel like getting to this stage, I'm doing a lot of shedding of conditioning over like 50 years,
Yeah.
you know, and trying to understand how has that made me into the person that I am now, and what part of my personality is coping strategies, conditioning, and what part of it is me.
Yeah.
And trying to, I'm doing this because I feel like I'm trying to shed what
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
is, find out who I am underneath all of that, and that's taking a lot of work. I'm not going to lie, it's taking a lot of work, and it's yeah, but with that also comes a sense of confidence that I never had before, confidence in my own ability, in recognising that actually something that I got told in school when I was 8 is not who I am at 50.
Yeah.
Do you know, and it's a lot of that. So I think, and with that comes, certainly for me, has come this thought about self-worth, and you know, I really am kind of going inward and thinking what that looks like and who I am, and you know, I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore.
Yeah, no, I think you make a clear point. You do make it, that was really clear.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Even
You're
if
welcome.
I felt like I wasn't making sense.
It does, it totally makes total sense. I think even like laughing and losing it halfway through it's almost showing half of the half of what you're kind of facing, because you still very much got one foot in the camp of having to still do all the things that you were doing before you started going through perimenopause, and maybe you started the shedding.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're wearing two hats.
Yeah.
You've kind of got like one hat and one foot is in the old stuff that you were already doing, and then the other foot is becoming quite stubborn at pulling you across to filling your cup and working out who you are,
Yeah.
and working out what you want to do, and
Yeah.
working out what things you like and how you want to feel.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, what do you reckon?
You posed the question. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here thinking, I think one of the things for me is being able to be more vulnerable and being more honest about who I am,
Yeah.
and not apologizing for that.
Yes.
And I always have like this, so like I run this little community called the Happy to Be Me Hub. And the idea is that I'm just going to be myself in there. I'm going to show up. I'm going to run different events and videos and things to show I'm dealing with this week and I'm finding this really hard, but this is how I'm going to deal with it, or this is how I've dealt with it. It's almost like a little, not a therapy space, but it's a small group of women who hold each other in that safe space to be able to show up as they are, with, you know, warts and all, with the things that aren't going well and the things that are. And I think I was just sitting here listening to you both thinking that's part of my shift over the last few weeks, is being able to have a small trusted group of people that I can go, do you know what, this feels hard today, or I'm really struggling this week, and knowing that I will be fully accepted in that space without having to justify or apologize, and that I'm not expecting anyone to have the answers for me, but they will accept me whether I look like I've dragged my hair through a hedge backwards, or, you know, I've got puffy eyes, or, you know, all those things that we were just saying, but that I can be vulnerable and honest.
Yes.
And I think that's where courage comes from, when we can be
Yeah.
truly ourselves, and then we can teeter on the edge of that. You know, I always talk about sort of like, if you imagine a fried egg, and I don't know why I do that, like no one knows the shape of a fried egg. Um, but if you imagine that the yolk is the comfort zone, there is so much outside of that. But
Yeah.
we don't tend to teeter outside of it. But actually, if we are surrounded and feel loved and accepted by whoever those people might be, what shifts for us? And I wonder if that's maybe
Yeah.
what we're talking
So
about here.
I think as well, if you, I know that when I've been in a space with other people and I've been able to be vulnerable, open, and just accepting of whatever is coming up for me, that then almost, it feels like it's a lot more open for other people to do the same. So then we've got this like reciprocal kind of authenticity, and
that's a beautiful place to be in,
and
isn't
it's
it?
like co-creating this space of like being real and being vulnerable, and and it's really quite
I love that.
it really
I love
opens
that.
things up.
So by being
Yeah,
vulnerable yourself, you give permission to the person that you share it
yes,
with almost, and then
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Brené talks about that. I can't imagine I'd ever get through this podcast without mentioning Brené. I
Love
mean,
Brené
I'm
Brown.
not saying I stalk her, but I am
But you
very
do.
huge fan.
Yeah, I think
But
I've
she
got
talks about that, doesn't
yeah,
she? And
a rising
I
star.
feel really, yeah, I feel really privileged because I've done both of her courses here in the UK with UK trained facilitators. Sadly, not with Brené in person. But I can remember
Yeah.
on one of those programs, we had like permission slips and we had to fill in permission slips of what we needed to give ourselves permission for. And I wonder if that's what we're saying here is it's almost that, what do you in this journey, what do you need to give yourself permission? Is it for stepping back? Is it for space? Is it for acceptance? And actually, how can you help someone else? How can you invite someone to give permission to themselves? Because sometimes they, again, unless you nudge people, sometimes they won't even recognise they're in that space.
I
I
think
don't know if that makes any sense at all. I just
No, it does.
good.
It does
And I
make
think we were
sense.
both sitting there thinking, oh, what do I need to give myself permission
Definitely
for?
was what I was
and
thinking.
I was thinking, oh gosh, I can't even think right now. I need to think about that one. That is a yeah. What do I need to give myself permission for? That's one we're going to have to ponder
Mull
on.
over.
Yeah,
Mull over.
but that's a really really good point, isn't it?
I think we are so responsive to other people all the time. And something I've become really mindful of is how quickly I react or respond when I see a notification come up on my phone. Those little red squares or whatever with the
Yeah.
numbers of how many messages or emails you've got. And I realised just how much I've become or my behaviour has changed so that literally if I see something coming, I've got to deal with it urgently. But actually that's someone else's priority, not necessarily mine all the time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm sitting there ignoring things coming in, but I'm starting to recognise I don't need to be all things to all people all of the time.
No.
So it is okay to wait 10 minutes to answer a message if you're in the middle of, I don't know, your vegetables are about to come to the boil in a pan or something, or you're in the middle of the hoovering or whatever. That's not very stereotypical, wasn't it? But
Or you're
do you know what I mean?
or you're sitting for an hour with your book, and that's the hour you've
Yeah,
dedicated yourself to you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah.
There's
So
so many
I
books
think
aren't
that's
there?
something that's changed for me in the last few months.
Well, that
It's
I
that
mean, and that's
permission thing,
really
isn't it?
good. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I think a lot of us probably are really responsive,
Yeah.
particularly in this day and age, because we've got the laptops, we've got the phones, we've got all this technology around us, and we think we've got to respond to people. But actually, we haven't.
And
We
like you
haven't.
just said there, that was a really good point there, Nix, is that's their timeline, not
Yeah,
yours.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Because
see, I've
we're
gone.
often, aren't we, just bombarded by things. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and we were having a conversation, and I feel awful for doing it, but I picked up my phone, saw that I'd got a message, and I went, I'm so sorry, I've got to stop now. I've done something, I need to rectify this. I'd made an
Yeah,
error, I'd recognised it, and I've got to deal with it there and then. But I was in a conversation with my daughter,
yeah.
and that was the worst thing I could have done. Whereas if I'd have just left it there and dealt with it, like even the next day, but we're in this 24/7 kind of cycle.
Mentality. Deal, deal, deal.
I It's interesting. I had a spaniel called Marley, and I've written blogs about him, and he's featured heavily on social media over the years. And very sadly, lost him a couple of years ago. But he taught me so much about what I call the spaniel perspective, being in the moment. He didn't care whether there was another email coming in. He just wanted to know, you know, when was his next walk? When could he next have a biscuit or whatever? And that he used to literally push my phone out my hand. If I'd be sat of an evening and I was on my phone too long, he would literally knock it out my hand onto the floor. It was fascinating. And
Wow.
it's so true. We become a slave to those things,
Yeah.
I
Yes,
think.
yeah, we have.
Um, and sometimes I now purposely will go and put my phone on the other side of the room so
Yes.
Yeah,
I can do something without that
yeah.
distraction or that.
We'll, we'll
I know
walk
I couldn't do
down.
without it. I'm not saying that much,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm saying I want to prioritize me sometimes as well as others. And that doesn't make me selfish. That means that I'm taking care of me and putting myself first, so then I can be a better person
Yeah.
to everyone else when I want to be.
Because back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have this. We didn't have
Yeah,
Netflix, coming to
I mean,
us.
thank God we didn't, right?
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
glad we didn't have social media back in the 80s and 90s because I think people think I'm relatively sane.
Yeah, can you imagine the pictures that would be coming out? If,
No,
Yeah.
that's what I say to my kids. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad we didn't have social media when I was growing up. Oh
yeah,
my word.
yeah. Bonkers,
It is
isn't it?
bonkers. It is bonkers. It's really interesting, the whole takeaway about not feeling guilty, giving yourself permission.
I really like the spaniel
Yeah.
perspective. I'm
I
going to use
love the
that.
spaniel perspective, and I because I'm always conscious if when I'm holding my phone, and it's one of those things where if you go out with friends, I don't ever get my phone out of my bag. I always leave it in my bag. I will always look at it if it rings, because I always think, oh, what if, if somebody must need to get hold of me. But back in the 80s, we didn't have people, no one
Yeah.
could do this. And 9 times out of 10, you take your phone out of your bag to look at who's ringing you, and it's a spam call. And it's like, I tend to go for a walk sometimes without my phone and just totally just be, just be me. Because while like you said, Nick's about, you're not ready to give it up. I kind of feel like I'm not ready to give it up, but I kind of feel like I'd really like to.
Yeah.
That's where I think my stance is with. But then I'd like to go and live in the middle of the woods and just dip in and out of society when I needed to.
But yeah, there is something that I love nature. I've become, certainly through Marley, being, going out with him on walks so much, I've become really quite obsessed with bees and butterflies. I love taking pictures of bees and butterflies. If you're on my social media, that's all you'll see over the summer months. It's just all of those. Um, but yeah, again, there's something, isn't it, that grounding piece again, maybe around coming back to nature and
Yes.
how much nature can teach us in that space. I was talking to some people yesterday about the fact that, nature's still beautiful whether we stop to notice it or not. You
Oh,
don't
it
see
really
you
is.
don't see two daffodils coming out at the moment comparing whether one's slightly brighter yellow than the other, do you?
A little bit
You
leggier.
know?
No, you don't, do you?
Yeah. I think there's so much we can learn from that.
Yeah, there is so much that we could learn. There really is.
Yeah.
I went to the botanical gardens yesterday with a friend of mine, and
Uh,
I went into the desert house, which was basically a beautiful Victorian-looking greenhouse full of cactus. Now, I absolutely love cactus. I don't know why. I have no idea. Um, but I honestly, I said to her there and then, I could live here. I mean, it was just a glass house full of cacti, but it was just, just being in nature. I mean, obviously cacti are really still; they don't move. But there were so many of them, and they were all so very different to each other. And like I say, they weren't comparing. And there were some really big ones, and there were some really tall, skinny ones, and there were some with flowers and some without flowers. Nature's brilliant.
Yeah. And we are nature.
We are nature, and I think sometimes we
forget
forget
that.
that we are part.
Yeah.
We are part and parcel. We are as much nature as a tree is.
I call myself social services for plants because I love nothing more than going to a garden centre and buying up all the reduced plants and bringing them back to life.
I
My
don't
husband,
know.
my
That's
husband fears me going to a garden centre for my home, but I love that because but isn't that something like us? Sometimes we come undone and things don't
Yeah.
go quite our way, and we have to nurture ourselves to bring ourselves back to where we want to be. And so I try to do that for plants as well.
Yeah, it's just
So
getting the right conditions, isn't it?
it really
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
it really is. Yeah. Oh my goodness, definitely.
So, apart from the drumming, then Nick, so you kind of said that in the beginning you can't. I mean, we really have gone on
In
about
the
we've,
beginning.
and we've gone a bit of a
Drumming and
yeah.
plants. Permission.
Yeah, we've gone a little bit over. Oh, I can't get my words out today. But you were saying about how things were a bit difficult for you a year or so ago. And then I mean, you've got your drumming. What other things are you doing and nature to help you keep grounded and feel well in this time of life?
Yeah, I think really trying to notice more and give myself permission to accept that there are going to be some days when the energy isn't there, and rather than resist it and throw myself on a floor like a toddler and in a starfish and cry about it, I'm going to be more accepting of it. Um, I've also finally managed to start going back to swimming again, and I managed to go last weekend for the first time in like 3 4 months. And water, I love water. So being in that space again, but also without trying to set rules. So it wasn't like I'm not going to get in and do this number of links in this amount of time. I just wanted to swim. So there's something about being a bit more relaxed about what that fitness or exercise looks like for me. As long as I'm moving my body and I can do what I am, then I'm going to appreciate that more, if that makes sense.
That's really
But also looking at, how do I regularly have things in the diary for me, not just for work or for business, but actually how can I make sure that there are things there um, that give me that rest, so I can really honour that rest this year. I think it's going to be really important. And probably lots of trips to the garden centre for more reduced
rescue.
plants. I'm very excited spring's on its way, I can't tell you.
I can't wait to see your collection. Drums and rescued plants.
Oh, that's
Yeah, drums and rescue plants. I'll send pictures from like the garden centre of a trolley load of reduced plants, and I'll send it to our husband. Just warning, this is coming home. Very forgiving.
yeah, we do that too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do that too.
Yeah.
I especially love it when cacti are reduced.
Oh, Nix, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been lovely.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Really nice conversation.
Yeah, really enjoyed our
It's
conversation.
flown by so quick. I feel like I could sit here for hours and talk to you both.
I think we could. I honestly think we could.
Oh, fabulous.
No,
Well, thank you ever so much. It's been really lovely spending some time with you today, and we'll share all of your groups and
Yes.
things on our socials
Yes,
too.
absolutely.
In
Oh,
case
thank
people
you.
want us to get in touch, because I'm sure. Whereabouts are you based? Whereabouts?
I'm in Hampshire, so
Yeah.
I'm about 40 minutes drive from London, sort of way. So
Yep. So anybody out in your way that's interested in getting in touch with you and joining the drum circles and things, we'll put the details up.
Absolutely will. And if we get round to doing a Wild, Wise and Curious on tour next year,
Yeah.
oh yeah, ladies, come on down.
for a session, we would absolutely love that, wouldn't we?
Yeah. The more we talk to people, the more this is starting to sound like it's actually going to be an idea.
Yeah, well, get yourself a little wooden heart and
write it on there.
write it down. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be
Thank
amazing.
you so much.
Yeah,
Nick.
thank
It's been
you.
lovely talking to you.
Yeah, really lovely.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email us at info@wildwiseandcurious.com or reach out on our socials at wild_wise_and_curious. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Stay curious and we'll see you next time.